B-Hizzy, aka Brendan Hurst, and I am joined as always by the Prez, Chris Mullaney. How are you doing, man?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. Well, we're here to talk Thursday night football. The Bengals defeated the previously undefeated Miami Dolphins 27-15, I believe the score was. But the whole night was kind of marred by the injury to Tua Tagovailoa. He went off just before halftime, I think it was, with a head injury. And it was scary to look at. Now, I'm sure everybody's seen it. It was very, very scary to see, and I feel like it's hard to see what happened and how he was immediately after it, and not consider what happened on Sunday when he was hit by the Matt Milano and he smashed his head off the turf, and then he got up and then he stumbled like he was steaming. So I just wonder. I think you have to be pretty honest here. Like, Tua Tagovailoa went into this game with a concussion, and it was extremely bad malpractice by the whole organization to allow him to play with this.
I mean, for the coach to come out and go, he had back spasms. I'm sorry, I've had a bad back, but I don't walk about like the way he was walking.
Yeah, like even if like back spasms flare up, I can't think why it would make you fall like it did. Like the only way the way he fell on Sunday like he did is if you're dazed, and maybe I think we've all maybe been like a bit like, oh, bang your head off something, like, oh, but does he just for a second? But I think just the way you don't fall over like that, where it wasn't like a stumble, it was like he went down, had to he put his hands on the ground and push back up, and then with what happened here is the scariest part was when his hands did that. It was the it's called the fencing response, and I'd never heard of this until before last night.
Thank you, Professor Brendan.
What's that?
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, essentially, it's just the involuntary act of the arms tensing at the elbows and moving like that, and it's a real giveaway symptom for a concussion. And it's a serious one at that as well. There's a lot of neurologists on Twitter talking about second impact syndrome, which is very, very scary. Like, I'll sound off on it with this, right? It's like, it's the kind of hit your mum sees and she's like, no, you can't ever play football ever again. Because what was it I said on I did post on the podcast Facebook page, which is End of the Fourth podcast, if you haven't seen. Yeah, concussions are just no joke. I mean, I've had two, and they're not fun. It's a tough situation, right? Because two is going to want to play no matter what, and you've got to essentially override the player, and because he's a danger to himself when it comes down to it. It's like, if you were to ride your bicycle drunk, right? You'll get arrested because you're not only a danger to other people, you're a danger to yourself.
Of course, and you see, the thing is with all professionals, I don't care what line of work you're in, whether you're a banker, whether you're a football manager, a football player, a head coach, a GM, or the president. You will want to do your job to the best of your ability, and you do not want anybody coming in and taking your job while you're not fully able to participate. So it's very difficult to turn around and say, Tua, you're not playing. What you should technically do to Tua Tagovailoa, do not come near the training facility. Do not come near the game, because otherwise you're going to put your uniform on and want to play. I think it's not nice what's happened. I mean, I do not want anything, because what you're now going to see an awful lot of is, do you remember a few years ago, Kiko Alonso on Joe Flacco?
Yeah, that was awful,
and everybody blamed Kiko Alonso for it. Now, I do not want folk blaming the Bengals defense for hurting Tua.
It was essentially just a routine tackle. You see stuff like that happen. It was a swing round. Maybe it was a bit rough, but the game's rough. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. I'm sorry, you're not wearing a dress. I like my linebacker to be aggressive. And let's not have a dig at that, because see if on the other side, is it Melvin Ingram's at the number 6 for right? If he'd done the same thing to Joe Burrow, you would defend him to the hilt. But let's move on from Tua. Let's not. The game's not all about Tua. It's about Zach Taylor listens to the podcast.
Yes, that is true.
Not mine.
The early game plan for Joe Burrow seemed to be getting the ball out quickly, which is what I've said for probably 2 weeks now, is about, the offensive line's deficiencies, can be overcome by the idea of quick release, quick pass game, and getting it out of Joe Burrow's hand just to get him out of danger, right? He was only sacked once yesterday, which was that's a good turnaround, considering it was 7 in the first game and 6 in the second game.
He just wants to get the average down what he's on course to be sacked. That's all it is.
Yeah. So it's, he was pretty good last night. He was 20 for 31, 287 yards and 2 touchdowns. And when he threw that touchdown to Hayden Hurst that basically sealed the game, I was quite thankful, because it meant I could go to bed and get another hour and a half sleep before having to go to work this morning. So
see, that's what you call hardcore NFL.
That's it. I really think this was a you don't like to say this so early in the season. This was a must win for the Bengals, and the fact they're now back on track is a good thing. And I still don't think we've seen the best of Joe Burrow. I think that's yet to come.
I don't want, like you said, I don't want to say it was a must win. This was a must win for 2 teams last night. It was a must win for the Bengals, and it was a must win for Buffalo. Because I think had Miami gone 4-0, put the pressure on Buffalo, they go to Baltimore and fluff it on Sunday. They're then 2 games back, plus the divisional. So technically, you're 3 games back.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to be you don't want to be 1 game back, but at least, to go 3 games back, and I know you've still got, but if you look at that division realistically, both of them should sweep the Jets and the Patriots.
Yeah.
Miami's already got 1 up on Buffalo, so that's 3. So even if Buffalo stuffs them in Buffalo, they're then 2 games back. And sometimes to find the 2 games that you need to find is difficult, because Buffalo's got a tough schedule.
Yep.
And they'll lose games. I think the guy behind you, number 12, I think he'll beat them.
Yeah.
On Halloween, it's going to be spooky.
I'd love it. I'm obviously gonna watch that one, but it's gonna be a good one, for sure.
I'm working that night.
I've got the day off, so I know what you mean, especially with the scenario for the Bills right now. Is they are horrendously beaten up, in the secondary. I think they're going to get a couple guys back. We did say about Jordan Poyer and Dane Jackson and Christian Benford. I don't think Christian Benford will play for a couple more weeks yet, but I think the other 2 will be back. Which is good for Buffalo's secondary, which is in tatters right now, and against the Lamar who's on fire. In fact, I don't even think he's on fire. He's on a supernova charge right now, and ripping up secondaries. Then it's not an ideal matchup.
No, of course not. And that's why, obviously, I think Cincinnati winning it, obviously now, I don't want to say that they're 2 games back, but it means if they do win on Sunday, or even if they lose on Sunday, they're only 2 games back, and then you can find 2 games very easy in this league.
Yeah.
Whereas 3's a bit more difficult, because when you go to places like Lambeau and cold, wet, windy places, or even sometimes hot places, you're struggling sometimes, and it doesn't help. Teams will have to go to places like in that AFC, anywhere in the AFC North. It's cold. Minnesota's apparently, well, I'm not saying NFC, but up that end of the country is quite cold.
Yep.
Apparently.
Soldier Field.
New York's cold.
Yep.
So, New England's cold. So, going to these places is going to be hard for teams come, November, December time. And of course, the regular season doesn't actually finish until January.
Yep, where it gets extra cold, especially up north in the United States. Just kind of on the Bengals a little bit more was, T. Higgins was kind of the star. He had 7 receptions for 124 yards and a touchdown. And on the other side of the ball, Tyreek Hill, he didn't have a touchdown, but he did have 160 yards on like 10 catches or something like that. So not quite my bold prediction. It's close, but not quite.
Nowhere near your prediction. Didn't go over the bloody end zone.
That's not important. The thing that concerns.
Last time I checked, you have to score points to win.
Yeah. The thing that concerns me the most about the two teams offensively, and I'll give Miami a little bit of a pass, obviously, because Teddy Bridgewater played, in relief, and he was all right, all things considered.
No. Teddy Bridgewater's a better quarterback. What I mean when I say this, he's a better quarterback at limiting mistakes over Tua. He's not as aggressive as Tua.
Yeah.
Tua will like to chuck it and, if I throw an interception, the defense. Whereas Teddy Bridgewater will go, I could throw an interception there. I'll throw it shorter. That's why I'm not giving them a pass. I think Teddy Bridgewater is a decent enough quarterback. Why is the police at that house down the road? I'm looking at the police at their house 4 doors down.
Well, they might be looking for the Miami team doctor and taking them away.
Possibly.
He's going on the run, apparently.
They're going for the Prez. Picked the Scotch in 6 and hasn't won yet. So
yeah. So the thing that concerns me is the other star receivers on both sides. Jamar Chase didn't have a catch until right at the end of the third quarter, I don't think. And Jalen Waddle was ineffective. And you need to get those two involved. And it worked out okay for the Bengals, but you're not having your star guy, one of the top 5 receivers in the league, get involved regularly and not having a catch until, the end of the third quarter. It can derail you offensively, and then you're going to start force speeding it. So I'm not saying get Aaron Rodgers syndrome, or I don't know if I should call it Derek Carr syndrome now, but I don't really know if he is forcing Davante Adams the ball, but that's for another time. I think you just need to get your more offensive playmakers involved.
Definitely.
So good win for the Bengals. Good to see them back on track, and the good news on.
Even better because I'm 1-0 this week.
Yeah, that is true. That's true. But there is still 15 games to go, so we'll see. The good news about Tua was that he was taken to hospital for further evaluation. He had movement in all his extremities and was conscious. Released from hospital the same night and flew back with the team after the game. So, good for him. There's a mini bye now for him to get right. But I just think with what is essentially 2 concussions in 4 days.
I would sit him next week.
Yeah, it is only the Jets.
I would sit him. Play Teddy Bridgewater. He's Jacoby Brissett. He doesn't make mistakes. God, now I've said that he would throw 6 interceptions, but he doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't force things and things like that. So, I think great win for the Bengals. Miami will dust themselves down, and they're only 2 games back. 1 game now in front of Buffalo, include obviously the divisional as well. But that's only 1 game, and it might not even come down to that.
Exactly. Just quickly before we end this segment, there's a little bit of news we just want to talk about. Is former Dallas Cowboys tight end Gavin Escobar passed away in a rock climbing accident. He was 31, I believe, which is obviously a big shame. That's no age for a young man, and I think he became a firefighter on South Beach or something like that. So noble. That's good for him, and obviously we hope his family and friends are are at peace, we shall say.
Yeah.
And then, the other news we have is that Hurricane Ian won't displace the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Kansas City Chiefs Sunday Night Football game this week. That will be played in Tampa as scheduled. So that's it from us for now.
Change it yet? You did go for the Chiefs because of chaos. So you want to change it?
No, I'm sticking with the Chiefs. I'm still locking them up. I'm happy with it.
That's fine. No, just checking.
That's it. All right then, another Sunday done in the NFL. It's just going too quick. I'm really not happy.
Could be worse.
Could be worse. It could be like week 10 already. I mean, I would be in Green Bay, so that would be fine, but it'd be closer to being all finished and we have to wait all over again. So
could be the playoffs.
Yes, true. All right. Let's do it. So the first London game of the season saw the Vikings win out 28-25 against the New Orleans Saints. And my reaction watching this game, because obviously it was, everybody could watch, it was no other game on at the time. You just think this Vikings team is not that good, right? It just wasn't impressive to me at all. And yeah, maybe I'm biased, right? But I really don't think there was a lot of things which were superb. Even last week, do you know what I mean? Against the Lions, they almost get beat. I just feel like, on another day, this game goes to overtime at the very least with the missed field goal, the double doink right at the end.
Well, see, I mean, I was watching the soccer at the same time, so I was watching.
I decided not to watch that terrible Muppet Fest.
Well, I sat and watched the soccer because my missus did, and I didn't see it, but I was flicking between the two of them. And at one point, it put up a stat of the first half, and it was like Kirk Cousins had like 144 yards, and the whole Saints offense had about 70 odd yards. And I'm sitting thinking to myself, are the Vikings going to win this game because they don't? Are the Vikings going to win this game because the Saints offense is so bad?
Yeah, you'd think that. The thing is, it's like when you look at it, is this bad Saints offense, which was obviously down Michael Thomas. There was no Alvin Kamara. He was a shock. I think he had a rib injury. He was out and didn't play, so they lent on Mark Ingram, and there was another boy, and they had Taysom Hill in there, and obviously Andy Dalton started quarterback. So I just think that to let the Saints really have a sniff at this was just not a good look for the Vikings. I mean, they also had some really terrible refereeing calls that went in their favor. Like there was a phantom hands to the face call of Honey Badger, and there was a DPI called which set the Vikings up at the goal line, which was actually offensive pass interference on Adam Thielen. And they just had at the end of the first half, they had 2 red zone possessions, but only get 2 field goals out of it. And you know what I mean? Against the clinical offense, like if the Chiefs were to play the Vikings this year, or I think the Lions at Ford Field would punish offense like that.
I mean, that is that is it. I think whether it was jet lag or whatever the issue could be, the Vikings at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how crap you play, because we'll get onto it later on in the show about another crap team that played yesterday, and as long as you sneak away with a win, fans don't care.
You can clean everything else up.
It's like it's like not to sound horrible. If I was a head coach and I went 17-0 and I won every week 2-0 and had about 7 yards of offense, I'd be delighted.
Yeah.
Who cares? I've got W's, I'm heading to the playoffs.
No, totally. I get you.
Then the GM would fire me and I would have no offensive coordinator, but that's just...
You're saving the team some money. You don't need no offensive coordinator.
I know.
We could bring the fans in to operate the offense and just don't throw it. Just you don't even need to go in the field. Just have the punter punt it away every offensive possession.
1st and 10, punt.
Yep. I'm sure I've seen a Madden video where a guy tried to do that on franchise mode, like won like the Super Bowl by only scoring on defense. That'd be a challenge. You would punt the ball back every time you got the ball on offense. So
exactly.
That would be a bit of a challenge. I'll be up for. I might try that. I've got it right here. And FIFA was annoying me on Saturday, so I'm taking a break from that.
Well, I've got a 10-hour trial of FIFA, which is nearly done.
Yeah.
And I get paid tomorrow, so
there you go. It was for me. It was I was doing a player career. Started with Livingston. Get called up to the Scotland squad by October. Played against Sweden. They went 2-0 up. Got it back to 2-2. They went 3-2 up. John McGinn got him to score in the 89th minute. Do you know what the final score was? 4-3 to Sweden. Because of a corner. I couldn't believe it, man.
That's FIFA logic.
Exactly. Well, but I mean, that's for another podcast. We'll get back into this game. I thought Andy Dalton, especially in the second half, looked a lot better than Jameis Winston has all year. Just the command he seemed to have of the offense and the chemistry. And I think a lot of that comes from experience and not really being legally blind.
That's the thing. They showed it on Sky. They were interviewing some lady in the studio. And that's what they said. Andy Dalton doesn't make mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the way I see it, see if you don't make mistakes and you win games, I don't care how bad your offense is.
Yeah.
You'll eventually find a way to win games.
Mm-hmm. And you can be respectable that way. He went 20 for 28, 236 yards and a touchdown. And it was especially good with Chris Olave. There was a lot of good throws to Chris Olave. And a lot of Chris Olave making some good plays. So, but I thought Andy Dalton looked pretty good. And the other thing is that Justin Jefferson finally woke up from his 2-week coma. He got the best of Marshawn Lattimore, who I think had only allowed one catch all year going into this game. Justin Jefferson had 10 catches for 147 yards, and he got a touchdown, a sweep round. So, and I was going to drop him from fantasy. I was going to say, nah, you're annoying me too much. I don't trust you against Lattimore in the Saints defense. I'm gonna put you on the bench this week, and I'm glad I didn't.
Well.
But yeah, no. Obviously the Saints came within a double doink of sending this game to overtime and possibly winning, but not a good optic look for the Vikings. But as you say, as long as you win, it's all things that you can clean up later on down the line.
Exactly.
Right then. So that's the first London game of the season done. We've got obviously another one next week, and then the last one in a couple of weeks. I think it's a couple of weeks later. I can't remember.
Yeah, October the 30th.
Mm-hmm. That's right. All right then, let's move on to our next game. Browns 20, Falcons 23. Messed up my bet. Great job, Falcons. Or Browns, really.
What the hell happened?
I think that the Browns felt the losses of Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney. Obviously, Myles Garrett involved in that car accident earlier this week and had shoulder and neck problem. I think it couldn't play. Jadeveon Clowney, I think, still got a groin injury, I think it is. But, I mean, they couldn't stop a leaf blowing in the breeze, let alone the run. The Falcons had 202 running yards, rush yards. So
this annoys me, and it's a lot of NFL fans do the exact same thing. They go, "Oh well, so and so wasn't available, and so and so wasn't available, and so and." I don't give a shit.
Hey, it's your first swear on the pod.
I know. I've been trying so hard not to swear, but I don't give a shit. You have 53 men on the roster.
It's next man up.
22 guys, a punter and a kicker. Mm-hmm. You have 53 men who you judged, not the fans, not the media. You as a coach judged that it was good enough to play in the National Football League, was good enough to stop opposition players, and see if they can't. Well, that's on the coach and on the players that he selected.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, the Browns right now is pretty poor. They have one grace. They have one saving grace. And that is that next Sunday's Bengals-Ravens Sunday night, because one of those teams is going to lose.
Yeah.
Which could potentially open a door back in.
Swing it back into their favor, yeah. We were kind of pumping the Browns praises, last week when they beat the Steelers. And they're really 1 minute 55 away from being 3-0, but I think this was their worst performance of the season, really. I think a lot of it's down. I think the Falcons' offense is pretty good. They're clicking at a good time, even when Marcus Mariota wasn't very good.
Well, what we've said all year is this: the Falcons are competitive, and it doesn't matter how. As long as you're competitive, you'll sneak wins. That's just a fact.
Yeah, it's like the Lions last year.
Yeah, and do you know? I think, do you know? I'm actually going to start maybe buying a Marcus Mariota and Falcons hype train ticket soon.
Yeah,
because I like Cordell Patterson. I like him. Is that Allegra, you know, the running back?
Oh, I think I know who you mean. Yeah.
like
Tyler Al something, yeah.
Yeah.
And there's Caleb Huntley as well.
Kyle Pitts is starting to get involved. And, you know, their defense is okay. It's not elite or anything, but it's okay. And the more that you win, perfect.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think AJ Terrell on the defensive side for the Falcons has really bounced back from a rough couple weeks to start the year. But yeah, I think that they're a competitive roster, and I think that they're really buying into what the coach is doing. You know, with the identity is kind of pound a rock, and let, you know, Mariota throw the ball, make the throws that he needs to make. And, you know, the fact that they could win this game when Marcus Mariota wasn't very good, I think is a testament to them. He went 7 for 19, 139 yards and a pick.
And they're joint first in the NFC South.
That is true, yeah. That's right. Oh my goodness. There you go. Who would have expected that?
I know, we were all expecting 0-17, 1-16, you know. But just goes to show.
That's it, yep. Jacoby Brissett, just a final word on this game. Jacoby Brissett, I thought was pretty solid, but he's kind of getting into the habit of throwing a killer pick just when they don't need him to. He did it against the Jets, and he did it again yesterday. So
he has Aaron Rodgers syndrome.
Yeah.
Not that this is going to sound really wrong, and I don't mean to slate Aaron Rodgers here. What he's doing is he has a Mari Cooper. And he's got this in his head. If I go to Amari Cooper, he'll catch it. Yes, he'll catch it, but you have to reach him. You know, you can't catch the thing when you've thrown it, you know, 7 yards over his head. He's not a miracle worker.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Browns are a wee bit of a struggle.
Yeah, they're a bumpy train ride. So, like you say, that game next on Sunday Night Football next week is going to be an interesting one to see. And that, you know, that'll swing the door back open for the Browns should they take care of business next week. I don't like that I've been enjoying this brand of energy juice.
Monster.
No. Yeah, no, Monster. I used to not like energy juice at all. Because before they brought in the limit of having to be 16 to buy it up here, me and my mate, we went to the corner shop and bought 14 cans of their cheap own stuff and drank all in one set, and I was wired. And I just didn't really like the taste, but you know, the different tastes of this Monster stuff is nice. But
other brands available.
Yes, that's for another podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, not much else to say about this game. Good win for the Falcons, and like you say, they are joint top of the NFC South, so interesting to see where that could go. All right then, another 23-20 scoreline. We have the Bills somehow coming back to beat the Ravens in Baltimore, despite being very, very sluggish to start the game. They only put one field goal on the board in the first 4 possessions, being down 20-3 at halftime, which is not good.
Do you know, Josh Allen is the modern day Tom Brady. And I know that's a bit of a bad comparison to make, but this is great. That result yesterday is great for 31 other teams in the NFL. Any team not called the Ravens. Yeah. Because that's now twice now they have messed up a huge lead.
Yeah.
And, you know, they were you said they're 23 down, so you're 17 points down. So you're 17 points ahead. So realistically, it's a 3-possession game. So your offense, all they have to do is bleed the clock and pick up simple first down and kick a field goal. Not difficult.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I make that sound dead easy, but you know what I mean?
Well, you are the offensive coordinator of the show.
I mean, it's not difficult.
That's it.
Run the ball up the middle.
Yeah, I mean, they've got, J.K. Dobbins was pretty good yesterday. I don't have his numbers, but he looked pretty good. So,
I mean, run the ball up the middle, avoid Von Miller, avoid Matt Milano, avoid the Bills' defense, and you're fine.
It's easy, just. Oh God, I think the Ravens will be annoyed. They didn't think of that.
I think is it John Harbaugh? He'll be a bit of a job in the summer.
Well, that's my next point here. Is I think that the Ravens actually beat themselves. I don't think the Bills won this game. They weren't particularly very good. Or maybe that's down to being on the field for a very long time against Miami last week, but they have had a week to rest. So, but John Harbaugh lost the timeout on a challenge where Lamar Jackson was ruled short of the first down. This was in their own side of the field, so they ended up going for it, but they obviously they got it, but then the drive went nowhere. And then later on, this was kind of towards the end of the game, Jackson was then picked on a pass at the Bills' 2-yard line on 4th and goal, which would have put the game to bed. So you got to wonder. John Harbaugh seems to be making a habit of these mistakes. There was a debacle with 4th downs last year. I remember last year against the Packers, they went for 2 to try and win the game right at the end, and obviously they didn't get it, and the Packers ran out as 1-point winners. So I get the aggression, but at the same time, it's like, if John Harbaugh decides to kick a field goal there, the game's in overtime, and then who knows what happens.
It's all right to be aggressive, but it's not all right to be stupid.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, not much else in this game. I would be concerned if I was a Bills fan, thinking that with the way this secondary... No?
No, not concerned as a Bills fan. I think when you're 17 points down and then come back to win the game, that's even better because it shows that you're competitive right to the end.
Yeah, you've got the grit, but I think with the state of this Ravens defense, especially the secondary, which has been getting mauled all year.
Yeah,
I think with a guy like Josh Allen, who's everybody saying, "Oh, he's going to be the MVP." Him and Stephon Diggs are unstoppable. But you only put up 23 points against this Ravens defense is disappointing. And the Ravens messed up the spread. They messed up the scorching 6. They messed up my bet, and they messed up a scorching 6. The line was slightly different from when I put the bet on to when we picked. Although I think it's just different odds suppliers, because you get yours from Sky Bet, don't you?
Yeah, it doesn't matter anyway because the line was +3, so still. I got 2 ties this week.
2 ties. I'll need to look at that.
I had the Vikings -3, and I had the Ravens +3.
Oh, of course, yeah. 2 ties, yeah. Oh, I'll need to put that as a loss then.
Yeah.
Because it's a void, because that was voided for me on my bet slip. Right, yeah, I'll look at that off air. That's fine. Okay, yeah. Next game. Commanders 10, Cowboys 25. And I think now the time as we can basically say is Cooper Rush is easily better than a lot of the starters that are currently in the league. 15 for 27, 223 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the Cowboys remain right on the Eagles' tails with a pretty convincing performance on both sides of the ball.
Cooper Rush has Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard and CD Lamb and a decent tight end and not a bad offensive line.
Yeah, but so does Patrick Mahomes. Defense. Patrick Mahomes has a good run game, and he's got some solid receivers, and he's got a premier tight end, and he's got a solid offensive line. And we're not saying, oh well, we're not making excuses that he's got this is why he's doing so well. No, it's just he's just finding a way to win. Cooper Kupp is a baller.
Cooper Rush.
Well, both's right.
Now that you've said that, Cooper Kupp tonight is going to have like 1 catch for like 6 yards. That's it.
Probably. Well, the 3 of us have taken the 49ers to win. So, and Steve actually locked up the 49ers as well. So we shall see.
I hope he's right.
If he's right, then the standings are on fire. I will go 11-5 this week. 12-4 this week if on the pick'ems if that comes through. So fingers crossed.
I haven't actually checked my pick'ems actually.
I think you went 9-7 or something like that. So
see, I'm struggling.
9-6 right now. So did the guests. So did Steve. So But yeah, regardless, can I just say though, I think that the Commanders all black unis pretty fire.
It's nice.
They are really smart. Yeah.
You know, I think this game again, Commanders. There's clearly issues there. You know, Cooper Rush will get a job next year in this league as a backup. I think he'll be a decent backup. And you know, not being funny. I mean, if Chicago wants to move on from Justin Fields, or the Saints want to move on from Jameis, or Carolina want to move on from Baker, Cooper Rush is...
He's a name. He's going to be there.
You know, and nobody thought of him about, 2 seasons ago. I mean, and there was us, I think, 3 weeks ago, we was like, oh, Cooper Rush is in the frame for the job. We were all...
No, it's over for the Cowboys. You know, Dak needs to get back as soon as he can.
But I don't think they have to.
No, I think they can just, they can keep riding with Cooper Rush and let Dak come back 100%. You don't want to rush a guy back from a finger injury, especially in his throwing hand.
Exactly.
The other quarterback, Carson Wentz, struggled again. This Cowboys defense is very, very good for one thing. But he went 25 for 42, 170 yards, touchdown, 2 picks, and he was also sacked twice. This can't be sustained. I don't think that the key is to, bench him, but something needs to change with this offense. They can't seem to get the 3 receivers on the same page. It's like one guy is always really quiet, like Terry McLaurin is like quiet, or Curtis Samuel or Jahan Dotson. So it's a struggle for this Commanders offensive front.
Just play 9 offensive linemen, they might have a chance there.
Maybe so, yeah. Nothing else really in that game.
Running back, that's it. One receiver.
You got anything else for that game?
Nothing.
No. All right, then let's keep going. Here's a good one. This is probably the best game of the week. Seahawks 48, Lions 45, and this is scoregami. 48-45 is the 1,073rd unique final score in NFL history. So there you go.
There you go.
Everybody loves scoregami.
Did you look that stat up?
No, there's a Twitter account, NFL_scoregami. And it's just a robot that just computes it all, and it calculates like what's the most likely scoregami, what's the percentage of the game ending in a scoregami. It's really, really good. Definitely recommend it. It's a great follow.
That's right. I thought you'd looked that up.
No.
That was a strange game.
Yeah, with the Lions offense being down, a lot of their big names. There was no Amon-Ra St. Brown, no DeAndre Swift, no DJ Chark. But they still accumulated 520 yards of offense. And I was really worried because I picked up Jared Goff on fantasy earlier in the week, and I thought he's doing all these guys. This is a classic, Lions game where they're gonna put up a stinker with none of these offensive. But I must admit, I'm very, very glad I kept Jared Goff in the lineup. 45 points.
It's decent.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand all this hate for him.
I know. I think it's just because he's a very bland character. But that doesn't affect you as a player. You know what I mean?
Brett Favre was more wranglers. Russell Wilson doesn't really speak to the media. I mean, I don't care what your personality is, as long as you're not a whiny little, brat. I'm okay with that. Win the game. And, the Lions were unlucky yesterday. What it does do is, though, this is brilliant, because it makes it makes tonight's game very interesting. Because we could have the toughest division in football and every team's 2-2.
2-2, yeah.
And I think this is brilliant. We want divisions to be competitive. We don't want teams marching out to 9-0, and the team behind them's 3-6.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So it's okay. Obviously, that's very unlikely. But because then you may as well just put number 1 seed. No, I mean.
Yeah, and pack in.
Playoffs already. I mean, But no, I think Seahawks again. Geno Smith doing what Geno Smith's meant to do.
He balled out, you know. There's a worry that he couldn't put together 4 quarters, but I think he was probably his best game of his career. 23 for 30, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he wasn't sacked once, which, you know, for the Seahawks offensive line is a good showing, but a worry for the Lions defense, you know, with what we were talking about with Aiden Hutchinson, who's now been a passenger for 2 weeks in a row. It's 3 games out of 4, really.
Maybe he can't go with the speed of the NFL. Maybe he's starting to still adjusting. Who knows? But before we move on, because there's one game I want to talk about. I'm desperate to talk about. You know what one that is?
Well, I haven't written notes for that one, but we can do
it. I think Seattle are playing well. You know, they're doing what they have to do.
Yeah.
And you know, hopefully they can be competitive. I do like Pete Carroll. I do. I think he's, even for a 70-odd-year-old guy, he's still very passionate, and that's what we need.
That's it. I thought Rashad Penny was pretty exquisite. 151 yards on 17 carries and 2 touchdowns last night. Very, very good showing from him. He eclipsed his total rushing yardage for the first 3 weeks of the season by 10 yards on this one.
There you go.
Very, very good showing for him. Seahawks run game has been pretty slow through 3 weeks, but this was a good way to get it going.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll let you bounce with your game.
You know what game that is?
Is it the Giants beating the Bears by any chance?
It is. I've said it for weeks. Daniel Jones can play. He doesn't have to throw it. Run with the thing.
Saquon is having a really good season for one thing, and that's going to help DJ for sure.
Somebody said on Facebook yesterday, I caught it on, it's actually on another podcast Facebook page, the Giants was Jones and Barkley and nobody else. But Daniel Jones, 2 rushing touchdowns. MVP.
He is making a lot of intelligent decisions. The processing seems to be a little bit better this year. Let us say, I don't think him throwing the ball is a recipe for success, but he's making the right decisions. He's not, you know, he's not forcing the ball into positions which he shouldn't make because he feels like he needs to throw it. If the clock goes off in his head, he takes it and he runs, and it's translating to touchdowns for him.
Well, Daniel Jones is 1 Trevon Diggs interception away from 4-0. And, you know, I actually do think this Giants team's a wildcard team, at least.
You could be right.
You know, Brian Dable's got them playing a brand, which we like. Now, of course, we have to look at the block. He got hurt.
Yeah.
I didn't see the hit. I didn't see what happened.
No,
I was obviously, some poor people were working. But whoever it was, I didn't catch it properly, but whoever it was should be banned for 3 seasons.
Yep. Ban that motherfucker and fine him $8 trillion.
Get him out of the league. Should not be in the league. Up with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, that's it.
When someone sacks, what'd you call him, Kyler Murray? Pick on someone your own size.
Well, the good news for you is it sounds like it's not a serious thing and it's going to be day to day. So Saquon Barkley can focus on playing running back against the Packers in London, should that all go ahead, because obviously Tyrod Taylor came in and he got hurt as well. So Saquon Barkley had to take it at the you know, I think people just thought they were running the Wildcat more than anything, but
yeah, I mean, to be honest, I mean, the way it works, I think, in this league is you've got your starter, your backup, and then mostly it's like the punter.
Yeah,
does
punter,
quarterback duty.
Emergency kick quarterback.
I mean, can they not just put an announcement over the tannoy? Can MD play quarterback?
Anybody want to come in? We're opening trials for the the 53-man roster.
No, Daniel Jones is playing well this year, and if they played yesterday next week in London, and their opposition next week in London play the way they played last night, The Giants are coming away with a win.
I think so. I would agree with you there. Saquon having such a good game. He's having a great season, to be fair. And the Packers' run defense, we'll get onto it later on in the show, but wasn't convincing last night. And I think Saquon could have a field day if that is the case. But yeah, for sure, I think that the Bears. This is becoming a problem. There's some miracle they're 2-2. All right, and I think if it's not raining in week 1, and Roquan Smith doesn't have the game of his life last week against the Texans, the Bears are a decrepit 0-4.
The thing is with the Bears, the 2 games they've lost have been against 2 good teams.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 games they won was against the lowly Texans and a rookie, technically, Trey Lance.
Mm.
Weather, I'm not getting into weather, that's irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe that, the Bears found a way to get wins. I think they're obviously a pound the rock team as well.
Yep.
Justin Fields is clearly not NFL ready.
Mm-hmm.
He's Josh Rosen. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
He is the tanned Josh Rosen.
I think that given the right situation with the right personnel, Justin Fields can succeed. Josh Rosen was a bust from day one.
See, I don't think so, because I think what Josh Rosen had in Arizona is exactly the same as what he's got in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And unless I'm mistaken, Josh Rosen went into Lambeau and won.
Yep. Well, actually, I think that was Aaron Rodgers for the tank game to get McCarthy fired.
No. I think Josh Rosen won in Lambeau. Mm-hmm. Justin Fields was yet to win at Lambeau.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's true. It is true. Yeah. No, they clearly don't trust Justin Fields, and it's a bad look for going forward, just because they don't trust him to throw it. The thing is, you can't. The receivers. I was told that this Bears receiving core is way better than the Packers. I'm sorry, but it clearly isn't. No, but hey ho. All right, we'll get one more game in. We'll go with Chargers 34, Texans 24. This was in Houston.
Chargers got the first rushing touchdown of the year.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
And like buses, they come along 2 at a time.
Yep, that's right. Of course, Austin Eckler. Yeah, he did well for me on another league in fantasy yesterday.
The Chargers dug out a win, but it was against a lowly team again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. You don't want to put dampeners on teams winning. Of course, winning in this league is hard, but it's not that hard.
Mm. If you've got, you can stick to the game plan that you've made all week. Chances are, as long as you don't deviate from it when you get punched in the mouth, things will be fine.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. As long as when your quarterback's got the ball, you score points, and when the other guy's got the ball, you stop him scoring points. Simple.
It's an easy game, this, isn't it? But why do they need to go to college? They could do it straight from high school.
I know. Why is it I'm not hired by any team so far?
Exactly. Well, that's because they know that this podcast wouldn't be the same without you. So
that's it. I make the podcast. Anyway,
I think that Justin Herbert looked a lot more comfortable yesterday, and it was helped that the rookie left tackle, Jamari Salyer, I think I'm saying that right, replaced Rashawn Slater. He played pretty well in particular. Herbert was only sacked once and hit twice, and that's a recipe for success against any team. If you can limit the number of times a quarterback needs to hurry up or is on his back.
Yeah, that is it. And the Chargers have got the win, and of course, Chiefs winning, Raiders winning.
Yeah, finally.
We'll get into that later on in the show. But yeah, great for the Chargers, and they're back in with a shout in that in AFC West.
Yeah, I don't like to say this was a must-win for the Chargers, but you think with the Raiders winning, the Broncos at 2-2, the Chiefs at 3-1, the division is competitive and it's getting into its groove. One thing, my concern for the Chargers here is because, I mean, the Texans are the Texans. I don't really think much is going to be much could really be said about them. The Chargers defense has allowed teams back into games late, and this is becoming a pattern. They were winning 24-10 late in the third against the Raiders in week 1, and obviously that finished 24-19. They were beating the Chiefs 17-7 halfway through the third in week 2, and ended up losing. Was it 27-24 or something?
Something like that, yes.
And then this week, late in the third quarter, they were winning 27-7, and they allowed the Texans late. And so, 2 out of 3 these 3 games they've closed, but that's against better offenses like the Chiefs, they'll be punished for that. This kind of play.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right then. So that's it for. Well, no, that's not it for us right now. We'll take a short break, and then we'll review the other 8 games, including Monday Night Football, after this. All right then. Let's get to the game that you sniped out of my hands yesterday. But I want to talk about your man crush. Titans Colts. Titans ran out 24-17 winners. What did you think?
Well, it shows the Colts win last week against the Chiefs was a fluke.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Colts were very, very poor offensively and defensively, but it does go to show, why didn't they fill the box and stop Derrick Henry?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you know who I was very impressed with? Robert Woods. I mean, we all knew what he could do with the Rams, but then he had that horrible injury last season.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to show, if you rehab and you work hard and you're in the right scheme, you'll be successful. And that's obviously showed on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, 100%. I thought that Danico Autry had a pretty solid game against his old squad. He had 2 sacks of Matt Ryan, and one of them included a fumble, which I think set up a touchdown. I can't quite remember.
I'm trying to think again.
Can't remember. It's one of those games you don't watch at the time, and it's something you just miss. Yeah. So, but no, I thought he had a pretty good game. Kind of helping the Titans defense. There's a big game there. The problem with the Colts was I thought that their turnovers are a big problem. They were 25th in the league heading into today or Sunday. Matt Ryan had a fumble early, and then he had another one later on. He was picked. 2 of these turnovers from Matt Ryan resulted in touchdowns for Tennessee, and then Jonathan Taylor fumbled late on outside of the red zone, which killed offensive momentum. So I think the scoreline probably flattered the Colts a little bit.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, the Colts are in trouble. I mean, if I was a Colts fan, I'd be pressing the panic button now.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out of the league, coming out of the season, everybody basically thought Matt Ryan is an upgrade over Carson Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at all the free agents who were available, he was probably the best out of what was available. But it's just not worked for them. Whether that's a system issue, whether it's a coaching issue, whether that's his receivers can't run a route.
I think it's. There you go.
Whether teams have figured out how to stop Jonathan Taylor now.
He's having a tough year. I think that Matt Ryan's struggling to get the offensive system down, which is strange, considering a quarterback with such, experience. You'd think that it would be, and the amount of, offensive systems he learned in Atlanta. He went through a couple head coaches over there, offensive coordinators, that kind of thing. So I think that it's strange. Maybe the offensive system in Indianapolis is pretty complicated. Even for, maybe that's why we saw struggles with Carson Wentz last year.
Do you know? Well, if that's the issue, simplify it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't want to make Matt Ryan sound like a FUD, but simplify the system. And once you're up to top, then you go back to complicate it.
Yeah, once it's under wraps, you take the short plays. I think they want to rely on Jonathan Taylor because it's clear Matt Ryan's arm isn't 100%. It's not like it used to be. And then he's struggling to kind of get things moving this year, and it's resulting in the ball having to put in Matt Ryan's hands. So, 6 years ago, you wouldn't mind that, but now it's not the case.
Exactly. I mean, fill the box, stops Taylor.
There you go. Exactly. All right, well, nothing really else to say about this game. I've said that quite a lot this episode, but I mean, it was kind of a humdinger of a weekend. Really, there wasn't a lot of hugely good games.
The
yeah,
later window was better for me.
Yeah. All right, then. Well, let's talk about your Jags. I think your idea, your logic behind picking against them gets them a win.
Yeah.
I say the Eagles won 29-21, but it wasn't without a bit of a scare. The Jags went 14-0 up at one time.
I know. I mean, I was watching it going, God, they're 14 up. This is good. This is it. The Eagles are going to go and be, slaughtered.
Mm-hmm.
But, it goes to show never write off Jalen Hurts. And now every team looks for a safety valve, and it's normally the running back. Yeah. He's got a safety valve. He's called A.J. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they talk about who won the trade. Well, Philadelphia won the trade.
Oh, yeah, all the way to the bank.
I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think their undefeated record goes next week.
It's the Cardinals next week, isn't it? I think
Kyler Murray has never lost to Jalen Hurts.
Oh, well, there you go. I think that I don't know. I think I was looking at who they play, and there's not many teams you think could beat them. I think the Cowboys could give them a struggle. They kind of always seem to struggle against the Cowboys, whether it's home or away. I mean, they got slaughtered twice last year against them, so I think the Cowboys could be their biggest test. But I mean, this was their biggest test so far. Yeah, true. They's 3-1. The Eagles' defense came up big time. Hassan Reddick had probably the game of his life. He caused 2 fumbles and recorded another 2, and the defense as a whole had 5 takeaways in total. Now, I think those fumbles were possibly due to the ball being very wet, obviously in the monsoon. Now, you don't want to give that a reason, but obviously it is harder to grip things in the rain. But at the same time, I don't know if Jalen Hurts had a fumble, so who knows?
Do you know that? See, I'm not giving any team this season, and I don't care who it is. Jags, Packers, Cardinals, Patriots, Ravens. I'm giving nobody a pass because it was wet.
What about the hurricane though? That's a little bit different. No.
I'm giving nobody a pass on weather.
No, fair enough.
You've been in the league long enough to know what you're playing. I mean, you've played 90% of the players in this league have played high school, college, then the pros. I'm pretty sure you've played when it's been a wee bit windy and it's been a wee bit too wet
and cold.
I'm sorry. I mean,
it's a good point you raised.
I mean, like, you never. I mean, it annoys me when you hear about players, any player. Oh, I don't like playing in the wet. Oh well, I'm sorry.
You knew it was going to rain all week. You practiced for this kind of thing. I get what you're saying. I think like, what was I going to say? Can't remember. It's gone. It's gone.
That's all right. It's called dementia.
That's it. Yeah. Too many concussions. The first time the Eagles have faced adversity this year, and I think they responded really, really well. I mean, while his stats weren't pretty, I thought Jalen Hurts was actually a game changer and probably the reason they got back into it, and they just believe in him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And for Philly fans,
this year they're not frightened to throw it.
Exactly, yeah. They really trust in his development. I think for Philly fans, I seen a clip of him after his first start for Oklahoma, and he bowled. I think he had 5 touchdowns or something like that, like loads and loads of yards. And he wasn't happy. He thought they were really, really sloppy. And it was the same thing yesterday. Now, he didn't throw for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns the other day, but like with he wasn't happy with his performance, and to say that he played all right. You know what I mean? Like. And to say that he's not happy, I think that's a good thing. You've not got guys which are just happy to protect their legacy and stats.
Are they going to win a Super Bowl?
I don't know. I think that, the defense is so good, and they seriously are cooking on offense. This team is seriously one of the heavyweights. I think this could be the NFC Championship game. Eagles hosting Sunday. Probably the Buccaneers. That's what I said.
Okay, no problem at all. I'll hold you to that. You want to finish off the 6 o'clock window just now and talk?
I'm not even finished with this game yet.
Oh, you're not finished with this game?
I'm not finished with this game. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. If you've got the time, we'll get to it. You got a hard out. I'll just quickly say these last 2 points. I think Miles Sanders can be considered one of the premier backs in the league. He had 27 carries, 134 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and really, is a different world from what he was last year with no touchdowns. And I think he struggled. He took a real step back last year, so he's definitely some guy they trust. He was a big factor as well. I'm getting back into this game, and I think Trevor Lawrence had a rough showing, but it was against a really, really good defense.
That's the thing. I mean, I'm not going to slate Trevor for that performance, because when you come up against elite defenses, I mean, Cam Newton in his prime just happened to come up against Denver's defense.
Exactly. Sometimes it's just too much beyond you at that moment. I mean, when the Cam Newton analogy is really good. A guy was MVP form, but if the defense is just playing out their skin, there's nothing you can do really.
That quote will always haunt me. I think Von Miller's quote before that game.
Mm-hmm.
You were picked. I was picked 30 seconds after you. I'm going to be 3 seconds in front of you today.
That's good. That's good. Jets, Steelers. This was a clutch pick for me. Jets winning 24-20. The dog making his long-awaited return. It wasn't pretty for him, but he made it work. He led 70-plus yard touchdown drives in the fourth quarter to kind of steal the game, and that was a pick. I lone wolfed that with the picks this week. I just thought I don't trust the Steelers, no matter who's at quarterback. But I think the Jets pretty good winners today or on Sunday.
Right now, I get my friend. Well, Magic Mix has done a magic act and disappeared. And Kenny Pickett's there. Now, I'm going to defend Kenny Pickett. It was a rookie. He's got a defensive head coach. He's not got many weapons. So to throw 3 picks with nothing to throw to, I mean, the world's against him. And I want Kenny Pickett to succeed. I'm putting him in the same class as my other friend. What's my fascination with guys that wear number 8?
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett. But he got 2 rushing touchdowns. Same as Daniel Jones.
There you go. Yeah. Is a Kenny Pickett jersey on the wish list then?
Well, you have to wait 2 minutes. I'm talking about Kenny Pickett.
No context clip.
Yeah. But I think the Steelers are in trouble, and that they're a 4th place team. And I think if I was Mitch Tomlin, Mike Tomlin, I'd be thinking, get out of this season, get TJ Watt fit, get a defense, draft offensive linemen, find them receivers, and you have a chance.
Now, Deontay Johnson, I think it was said after the game, is clearly a rebuild year, and that's a big statement to make. Onto your friend Kenny Pickett. Obviously made his debut, but I think he'd like to have a lot of it back. His first career pass was an interception, but really, you look at it, it's probably on Chase Claypool. I know you don't want to give too much for that, but maybe there's double standards involved because it is Kenny Pickett.
Do you know what? I mean, he's got nothing to throw to.
Yeah, it's double coverage, so maybe you make a better decision, but,
It's one, maybe a veteran sticks in his pocket.
Yeah.
But I think what we just have to do is we have to try and give Kenny Pickett a chance. I mean, I'm giving him as much chances as I possibly can. I mean, I'm quite high at the moment on Daniel Jones, you know that. I'm quite high on Trevor Lawrence right now. In my opinion, based on form, right now, Trevor Lawrence should be in the Pro Bowl. If it was a Pro Bowl this year, he should be in it. I think Daniel Jones should be in it on form. He's not throwing the ball. But run it then. You do not have to. No, you tell me as a Packers fan, if Aaron Rodgers had lightning speed but couldn't throw it, would you be happy for him to run it and score touchdowns? Of course you would.
Yeah. If you're winning games, do you know what I mean? It's something you can clean up. Because I think Daniel Jones is yet to have a good throwing game this year, but you think surely it's not going to not happen. Do you know what I mean? He's a professional quarterback.
He's a Trevon Diggs interception away from being 4-0.
I think so. Kenny Pickett finished the day 10 for 13, 127 yards and 3 picks. One was to Chase Claypool. He could have made a better throw. 2 rushing touchdowns, yeah. And the other interception was on a Hail Mary right at the end of the game. So I don't want to put that on him too much. But the Jets defense, I think this stock is rising, Jets defense. They produced 4 interceptions. They had 1 in the bench before he went off. 3 sacks and 6 QB hits. So that's a sneaky good thing. Breece Hall coming out the woodwork. Good overall performance for the Jets. I think they've got to be delighted with that.
Definitely. Button's in the same place every other time. Same place.
I know. Just I had a boomer moment right there. You would know because you're old.
Thanks for that. Cheers. 27 is not old.
You're only 3 years older than me.
I brought life into the world. Anyway,
there you go.
Enough of that.
Yes. All right. Panthers, Cardinals winning 26-16. Oh my goodness. 2 terrible offenses, continue to play terribly. But Baker Mayfield, man, the Panthers are the hardest watching the league right now.
Have you ripped that ticket up? I know you said you were holding on to it.
I'm gonna keep it, but I'm close to like putting it through the shredder, I think.
I mean, there's a major issue there with Carolina. I mean, this is going to sound embarrassing. Who's their bright spot? Is Brian Burns.
Yeah. The defense has been marginally better, but it's not been keeping them in games.
Exactly.
I'm sure they had 2 defensive touchdowns 2 weeks in a row, and it's like that can't replace what your offense does.
I know. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a team win a Super Bowl when their defense is led in touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's all well and good, your defense maybe carrying you for 1 week or 2 weeks, but this has now been 4 weeks.
Right, and it's just been,
the defense has made this display respectable.
It's not as if the Cardinals' defense is particularly good, especially secondary. Baker Mayfield continues to have passes batted down at line of scrimmage, and I get he's a shorter quarterback, but I'm not seeing Kyler Murray, who is shorter, have any problems with that. I think he had about 6 batted down. He said he had a couple last week. The Panthers were 2 of 10 on 3rd down, and nothing seems to be clicking on offense, no matter what Ben McAdoo the hell's up. They got rid of Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, last year. I know our friend of the show, Owen, he said that was a mistake. You bring in another quarterback. Sam Darnold. You know what you're going to get with Sam Darnold. It's equal to, if not worse than Baker Mayfield, and that's hard to think right now when you look at Baker Mayfield. And you've got PJ Walker there, who's never really played in the NFL. I mean, he's had spells, but is he enough to get you over this hump?
I'm going to say something. Why don't the Panthers just tank and try and get CJ Stroud or Bryce Young?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. You can't build around Baker. When he went to Carolina, I said he would have to lean on CMC. He's leaning on him too much.
Yeah.
His receivers aren't exactly duds either. I mean,
exactly, yeah.
Robbie with a Y and Robbie with an IE Anderson.
Yeah.
His tight ends there. Chenault's okay. His running backs there. There's issues, and we don't know what the issue is. I saw online maybe if Matt Rule, maybe they replace the head coach. I don't know.
It's like who do you replace them with? That's the thing. It's like I don't know who's available right now, and I get if you fire a coach mid-season and feel it's highly likely that the season's done. But it's like I don't think anybody wants a piece of that Panthers pie right now. Even next year, even if they do have like the 1st or 2nd overall pick, and they do they are in the position to be able to pick Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. It's like, there's so much work that needs to be done around that squad. It goes more than just, the quarterback and the head coach.
See, but the truck has to stop first at the head coach and quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could. I mean, I'm going to say something, right? You could put Devontae Adams and DeAndre Hopkins, and a prime Travis Kelce,
mm-hmm.
and a fantastic running back. But see if you've got me at quarterback, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, but let's move on to the Cards. They actually played okay.
Yeah,
Kyler
I think
Murray playing well. What I'm waiting to see is when D-Hop comes back.
Yeah.
I think it'll be different because he's having to go to Marquise Brown quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And once you start zeroing in a receiver, they just double team him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But got the win, and defense is okay. I think this week, if I was an Arizona fan, I'd be saying, give me the L right now. Because I think the next two after that are two very possible W's.
Who are they playing?
Seattle, and then it's the Saints on Thursday.
All right, that's a actually sneaky good Thursday night game. That. No, I think Kyler Murray, he played pretty well. He wasn't too great in his first half. He had a pick six. But he had a really, really good second half. Probably his two best quarters of the season, I would say. It accounted for 3 total touchdowns and improved his first half passer rating by almost 100 points. And his first half passer rating was 54.2. I couldn't get the exact number, but it's a clear turnaround when you nearly go up to the maximum passer rating. So exactly. Yeah, good showing by him. And I think the Cardinals' offense is getting somewhere. Like you say, I think that when what's the boy's name? DeAndre Hopkins gets back. When he gets back, I think that the offense is going to open up a little bit, and Kyler Murray will have somebody else that he can trust with the rock. So yeah, Cardinals are moving somewhere more than the Panthers, we can say.
Definitely,
we should be 0-4. Let's be honest. And if Andy Dalton starts that game against the Saints last week, the Panthers are 0-4 right now.
Yeah.
And that's crazy when you think about, they were 3-0 last year. What a terrible turnaround.
Exactly.
Anyway, right. Let's go. Let's do this. Packers 27, Patriots 24, overtime victory for Green Bay. Now, clearly not an impressive performance by the Packers. When you look at it, Aaron Rodgers was the third best quarterback in a game that featured Brian Hoyer and Bailey Zappi. I said in a game, he was the third best in the game. I think, for a stretch, it's the first half, he was bad. 4 for 11, 44 yards and a pick six. Only the fourth of his career. And I just think that, I don't know, something was off with him in the first half. But second half, channeled vintage Aaron Rodgers, made throws he needed to make, and they end up getting the win. Now, I think that this scoreline flattered the Patriots quite a bit. I'm out of focus. There we go. This scoreline flattered the Patriots quite a bit. I think that obviously the Packers' offense is it's treading water. It's finding its feet. Trying to work out where the shallow end is, that kind of thing. Just try to figure things out. And the Bill Belichick coach defense is a marvel for professional football. I think that the Patriots defense is sneaky good. They didn't have their top corner, Jalen Mills. And they played really, really well. I think the Patriots defense was what kind of kept them in this game, obviously sent to overtime. And as a result, I think that the Packers showed more grit than we've seen from them so far this season. This was a typical down tools, woe's me performance, but they bounced back pretty quick. They turned the ball over. I think that they obviously the terrible first half, the pick six, they just, wasn't a good look. But so it was a typical we're throwing in the towel. We deviate from the game plan. Realistically, though, they were a bad Rodgers throw, a referee gaff on that play clock. The play clock was at double zeros for about 3 seconds, and there was this talk about you get the extra beat, and then you go because the referee sees it goes to zeros, then he looks up, and you get that, and in that beat, you get, if the ball's gone at that point, you don't get flagged for it. This was obviously talked about last week, but and then obviously they were a dropped touchdown by Romeo Dobbs away from this actually being a pretty convincing victory. So Packers fans, maybe cool the overreaction. It was tight. It wasn't great. It wasn't convincing by any means, but you know, if things go another way on the day, maybe it's a little bit more comfortable, shall we say? Because tell you what, I'd pulled both my cats up, standing, like, you know, watching, you know, and I you know, when I'm getting nervous during a game, I'll sit on the edge of the seat. You know, we don't do that. You know, it's edge of your seat action. Kind of going into the end of the, you know, the end of the fourth, roll credits, and you know, overtime, I was holding both my cats. I was standing up, watching. I was like, I couldn't breathe, and I just wasn't a pleasant experience. Ask your doctor if your heart's strong enough for Packers football. And go. Sorry, that was a lot.
You fluked it. I mailed you on Sunday, you fluked it. And you did. And I watch Good Morning Football, and I don't normally watch it. If it's on, I'll catch it. And I don't actually know the guy's saying names. Like Kyle Brandt, is that the fella?
Yeah.
He said he said the Green Bay Packers is like a primary school. Randall Cobb, Sammy Watkins, Alan Lazard. Aaron Rodgers trusts them. But he's got all these other kids he has to play with as well. And God forbid, but what happens is he goes to the line with these rookies and he goes, right, go left, go left, go left. And the ball snapped and he runs right. And the camera instantly goes to Aaron Rodgers, and God forbid he says anything.
Or he's rolling his eyes or anything. And it's like the media's definitely fueled this narrative that Aaron Rodgers is hard to please.
He is.
A lot of the time, you can see him on the sideline. He's smiling, dapping up his teammates. He's picking guys up. But it's just, you know, he's frustrated. Are you trying to tell me Tom Brady won't get frustrated with young receivers? You try to tell me Matt Stafford or even guys like Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow, young guys that are kind of, you know, working their way up. If a receiver makes a mistake, you're going to be frustrated. It's not necessarily at them. It's like, you know, it's like, damn it. You know, it's like I try to think of a real life example to do this. It's like, you know, all right, here's a good one. See, when it goes a new year, right? And you're writing the date shorthand. So like 01, 2023 it'll be, right? You're so used to, you know, it's in school specifically. You know, first day back school, short date would be you'd write the previous year and you'd look like a muppet if you handed it in. And you're like, damn it. You're not frustrated. You know, it's not anything else. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're just frustrated that it's gone that way. Maybe that was a bit long-winded and tad vague, but I'm going to roll with it.
Let's go. We'll go.
It's my podcast.
You're back, you're ball, and I'm not getting a shot.
Exactly. But you get what I'm saying. It's like, yeah. I'm glad I'm not going mental. I was off the top of my head. That was real ad-libbing Aaron Rodgers style, pulling that out your you know what kind of analogy there.
Pity I've dropped it.
Yeah. I likened this game to it was the 2018 season. We were playing the 49ers at Lambeau Field. I think it was week 6. The Packers were rough. I think they were 2-1 at this point. And they were kind of, you know, really struggling to get out of their own ways. You know, Mike McCarthy offense from basically 1910. So you know, they were struggling. But this 49ers team, you thought, it's a Monday Night Football, prime time, Aaron Rodgers, Lambeau. You think, yeah, come on, this is it. There's no way they're going to mess this up. And this game, that game in particular was the game where I just kind of thought, you know, we won, but we were losing. The 49ers had CJ Beathard at quarterback, right? No, CJ Beathard, right? Okay, he played pretty valiantly, okay? He put up 30 points, that kind of thing. The Packers were losing 30-23 with about 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter and ended up winning 33-30. So kudos to them. Good result. But it was that game after that I thought, you know, you think with a momentous victory like that, you think, this is it. This is the game that's going to change our season, turn our season around. We're gonna go on a run. And you just thought, this is the game where you think we're clearly not good enough. And things are, you know, things are not going to go well this season, because that should nowhere near have been as difficult as it was. And I kind of compare that game to this one. There's no way this game should have been as difficult, especially when Bailey Zappa came in, and he was good, but it was clear he needs more time to develop. And there was a lot of, they couldn't really move the ball if they weren't running it, which is a concern for the Packers defense. They're struggling against the run right now. They were okay against Leonard Fournette last week, but just struggled against guys like Ramondre Stevenson this week. So it's a tough one to look at. But I think pump the brakes. It was a good gritty win for Green Bay. Glad I think they showed us who they are. I think that they can punch back if they need to. And like I say, I think if things go differently on a certain day, this result's a lot more favorable and looks a lot better in the final box score.
Okay.
That's I was looking forward to talking about this game. I was thinking, we put our score predictions in for this game. We don't track them, we just do it for fun. I said 34-13, you said 41-3. And I remember when Bailey Zapp came in, I was telling Kerry, I said, Chris put a score prediction for this game of 41-3. And I think, they could be right, because I think the Packers were winning 7-3 at that point. We were rolling, so. But no, it was, I think another day, this game's maybe 31-17 Packers, that kind of thing.
41-3.
Yeah, maybe so. All right, let's do it. Let's catch the last of the kind of late window. Raiders 32, Broncos 23. The Raiders finally get into the win column. I kind of just say, right, the Broncos are dead to me. I needed Davante Adams to keep losing. I needed it more than I need air to breathe, and they let me down. So they're dead to me. They're grounded, and I'm not talking about them in a positive light for the rest of the year.
Nathaniel Hackett's on the hot seat.
Mm-hmm.
But on the bright side, this is the turnaround for the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
And next week, I'm excited.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm working on Monday. And I've got the Raiders and the Chiefs.
It's going to be a good one. Raiders Chiefs Monday Night Football. That's where you see the what is the Raiders' identity, that game.
Yes. My boss was told I need a set contract for childcare. Let's see how long that holds out. Yeah, wait till about week 14 and tell her I need to watch Saturdays as well.
Yeah. Josh Jacobs had a pretty good game. 28 carries for a career high 144 yards and 2 touchdowns. And as a result, the Raiders didn't really need to throw it. But, they got Davante Adams involved, 9 catches for 101 yards. Don't think he had a touchdown this game, but no, he didn't. But, look what happens when you can get him involved in a light where, you don't need to force feed him. Where it's you're chasing the game and you can do some of it. Because I don't think it's the fact that Davante Adams isn't a receiver you can trust in that. It's Derek Carr. He's not a quarterback you can trust. And yeah, you look at all his fourth quarter comebacks and it's like, but you need to be in a losing position to have a fourth quarter comeback to begin with.
Please don't insult Derek Carr.
You said earlier on about how you only like quarterbacks with the number 8. I think it's maybe like multiples or common factors of 8. So you have 4. Do you like Kirk Cousins?
I like Kirk.
Yeah, and early, so it's 8. Trevor Lawrence, 16. That's double of 8. 1 is technically a factor of 8 with Kyler Murray. There's logic going here.
And I also like Tua because I can say his second name. That's it.
There you go.
Funnily enough, I don't like Aaron Rodgers. Or Brady, and they're 12.
12. Does it really fit into
factor of 8?
It's 1.5. 18 is 1.5, isn't it?
Anyway, enough about that.
That's for another podcast. It's like the psychological impact of quarterbacks' numbers on whether Chris likes them or not. There you go.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan, there's your next episode. Or no, Jordan Peterson.
CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, if you're coming in, get a factor of 8 on your jersey.
Yeah, there you go. Even if it's 64. I know you're not allowed to wear it, but Set your own rules.
Yeah. I can imagine that, you know, Panthers. I want this number because that guy likes me. Kenny Pickett 8.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, there you go. Kenny Pickett 8. Right. Broncos offense still a problem. Russell Wilson had his best game as a Bronco. 29-42, 340 yards and a touchdown, but it's clear Nathaniel Hackett is struggling to get everyone on the offense on the same page. And the Rangers defense played pretty well. They got their first defensive score since 2019. Wilson was pressured on 40% of his dropbacks in the second half, and they didn't blitz once. So that's a good showing for them. This was a must win for the Raiders. Could you imagine they dropped 0-4 in that AFC? That's it. You got to pack up and go home at that point.
Yeah, I think Monday's big.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Monday's must win.
Mm-hmm.
If they win,
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go on a limb here. They win on Monday, they win the division.
You think?
Yes.
Well, be interesting to see. I'm off on Tuesday, so I'm gonna watch it as well. But I'll need to get more than just one can of Monster this time, because I felt I was watching Monday Night Football last then. Fell asleep again, but I was up pretty early, so. But yeah, no, Raiders finally in the win column. Broncos are grounded, and I'm not talking to them.
Okay, let's move to the big game then.
Let's do it. Sunday Night Football. No Stevie. Schedules were incompatible, shall we say. Basically means I don't know. I've not heard from him, so it's fair. But check him out. He's cool. Bucks Report, Bucks fans across the Bucking Pond. Let him plug, because he let me plug. I was on his show on Saturday there. But yeah, awesome guy. He predicted the Bucks to win this one, and they lost. But look, I give the Buccaneers a pass for this. Look, I know you say about, the weather and everything like that, but this goes more than just, playing in a bit of rain. It's windy, it's cold. There was a lot more, like, the Eagles didn't have to vacate to Pittsburgh or, Maryland or something like that this week. The Buccaneers had to go and practice in Miami, and they didn't know whether their homes would still be standing when they got back to Tampa. The pets all had to come, 28 dogs, 2 cats, and a rabbit named Cletus or something like that. So there's a lot going into this, and that's going to be hard for anybody psychologically. Look, some things are more important than football, and
for Aaron Rodgers and give them the pets as receivers.
Aye, maybe so. Airbud. But yeah, no, I give the Bucks a pass for this. Their offense was particularly good, I think. It's clear that Mike Evans, Tom Brady's on a different level when he has the full complement of receivers. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and I thought Julio Jones's hamstrings had exploded and he was done, but he was back in the other day. So yeah, I think you just got to deal with the fact you were going up against the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. He had touchdown drives, first 3 possessions, and barring one late interception, which is pretty bad. He had probably one of the best games of his career, I think.
To be fair, within the game, I was actually a bit surprised, with the result. I thought, the first play to butcher a punt, just let the thing go out the back of the end zone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's Rashad White, the ASU alumni.
Butchers it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the last play, I was a bit bemused.
Mm-hmm.
Why not run the thing out of bounds, kick the field goal, and have a pot shot at an onside kick?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the chances of you recovering it are very unlikely. But I'm going to quote JLS: "You'll never know unless you try."
That's one for the podcast Instagram page. No context, Chris.
Because I said this was it 2 years ago, about the Kyler Murray Hail Mary.
Hail Murray.
Unless you try.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually, by the way, I'll need to show you. I actually got the frame for it, the picture of it.
Oh, really?
Because it was Hail Murray.
Aye. Mm-hmm.
It's in Emily's room, but I haven't put it up anywhere. I want to put it in my room.
Mm-hmm.
But the only place to put it's above my bed. Now,
you're blessed.
yeah. Got Daniel Jones post on another wall.
Yeah. Derek Carr, a couple jerseys with the numbers 1, 4, and 16. Yeah, no, I think that, I think Tom Brady still has it, right? There's a lot of things saying like, he's this, he's that, but we've been hearing this for years now. Like, Tom Brady still has it. The arm strength, the velocity, the zip he was putting on these passes. I really think that if his marriage wasn't on the line, he'd still be playing beyond this year.
Well, chucker.
Well,
he's got 8 rings. He doesn't need a wedding one.
There you go.
Well, he's got 7. He's going to have 8.
Yeah, that's my last point here. I think Buccaneers can still win the Super Bowl. I think the defense cleans up. Hopefully, you're not going against the full strength Chiefs that had both their tackles this time. And I think the Buccaneers can still beat anyone on their day.
Yeah.
So good win for the Chiefs, but the Buccaneers are going to be fine. They're still going to win that division. Nobody wants to win it, I don't think. But who would have thought the Falcons would be tied at 2-2 with the Buccaneers right now? So, yeah.
Exactly.
All right, then. Let's get on to the last game of the week. Rams 9, 49ers 24. And we all picked the 49ers to win, and Stevie got the lock. So the guests are still unbeaten on locks. 4-0. We're both 2-2. This is not good. This is not good optics for the league, for our podcast right now.
I got the lock this week, didn't I? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did, yeah. Mm-hmm. You had the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I had the Chiefs winning, and I can't remember my logic. I looked at the Chiefs winning. I can't remember my logic behind it, but I actually think that's kind of ballsy.
They thought they were going to relocate to Minnesota.
That was my logic. That's right. Yes.
Anyway,
this game, go for it.
What did I say? The last thing I said on the podcast preview, the 49ers will win it, Seattle will win, Arizona will win, and it'll all be 2-2.
2-2, yeah.
This makes the next few weeks very interesting, that NFC West. And, the Rams aren't untouchable.
Clearly.
9 points is
no touchdowns last night.
The Rams aren't in a Super Bowl bubble.
I agree with you there.
I have 3 teams in the NFC in a Super Bowl bubble right now, and the Rams aren't anywhere near it.
Yeah,
they're still in the bottle. I haven't even blowed it yet. The only 3 teams in my Super Bowl bubble is the Eagles.
See, if you say the Giants, I'm going to come there and fly kick you.
They're on the outside just looking at.
Yeah, okay.
The Eagles, the Vikings.
Okay.
Because of their grit and determination in the Bucs.
Yeah.
The Giants are just on the outside looking in.
Where are the Packers? They on the outside looking in?
Just at the moment, I want to see a bit more chemistry between Rodgers and his young receivers.
Okay, fair enough. I would agree with that there.
But the Rams are
in trouble.
The Rams beat a poor Cardinals team. They got spanked off a great Buffalo side.
Yep.
Narrowly beat a pretty poor Falcons team. And they're supposed to be going back to back. Not a chance.
I think this is a bad optics for the Rams offense right now. And I think it starts with the offensive line. Matt Stafford doesn't help him as well. I mean, he has Aaron Rodgers syndrome right now. He's only trusting Cooper Kupp, who was in double coverage on 3rd and 10 at one point during this game, and he just tried to force it to Cooper Kupp. And again, you force it to your star receivers, and Cooper Kupp's a guy that can make that play. But you look back one more time at Allen Robinson, he's wide open. So,
exactly.
onto him as well. He can't find his footing in this offense, and the run game is non-existent. They only had 57 yards rushing last night.
It's poor, and I think the 49ers wanted it more. And that is the thing about the league. You do not have to play fantastic for 60 minutes to win a game. As long as you play well in the crucial points, third down, 2-minute drill.
Yep.
If a team goes for it in fourth down, and this is going to sound really strange, as long as you execute special teams. Because if you throw a pick on offense, then technically the offense could stop the guy returning it. If you block a punt, there's no guy behind you to stop it. It's going to be a touchdown.
Yeah.
Same with a field goal. It's, what I mean? So I think special teams is important. And I think the 49ers are pretty good on special teams, in my opinion.
I want to talk about their defense. Oh, sorry, you're not done.
Just before you do, their defense is scary. When everybody's healthy, their defense is scary.
Legitimately one of the best.
Probably only defense, in my opinion, that could match up with the Eagles.
Yeah, maybe so. I think that the defensive coordinator, D'Amico Ryans, is going to be the biggest head coaching prospect name in 2023. He's got to be, there's no way he's going to keep, he's going to stay there. If this 49ers defense continues the way it's been going. Stafford was sacked 7 times. Rams offense was limited to 257 yards and they allowed no touchdowns. That's complete a performance as you want from the Super Bowl against the Super Bowl champions.
I'm going to ask you then, just because of your quote there, where do you think he would go? Which franchise will have head coaching vacancies in the summer or the winter?
It's hard to say. I think that. I'm trying to think who's all. I think the Texans could have a vacancy, but I don't know if they'd want to go there. Possibly the Broncos. Nathaniel Hackett could be one and done. Panthers, but again, I don't know if anybody self-respecting would want that. I think people would take Houston over the Panthers right now.
I heard it was me, you, and Owen were linked with that.
Yeah. So I think the Broncos could be a name for him. Possibly the Commanders. I think their defense is, they've got names there, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but apart from that, there's not very many. But we'll see.
We'll need to see. We'll need to see who gets fired first.
Matt LaFleur.
No. Kind of just last point on this game is Kyle Shanahan really has Sean McVay's number. The Rams have lost 7 straight in San Francisco and 6 in a row to Shanahan. They just, in San Francisco against, so like there's something, I don't know if it's a psychological thing to go in, but they I think they've only won there 3 times since 2008. And yeah, that's obviously prior to Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, but it's clearly a big deal for them to go to San Francisco.
Exactly. But, everyone's now 2-2-2 and the best 2. And let's see how this goes now in that NFC West.
Absolutely.
The supposed best division of football.
Yeah, I mean, who would have seen the Seahawks with Geno at 2-2 right now?
Exactly. I had them all to 4.
All right then. Well, that does it. That's another episode, another week done. It's going too quick. I don't like it at all. But what can you do? This is the business, the world we live in.
Spend time with the wife.
Yes, exactly. True. All right then. So check out us on Facebook, which is End of the Fourth Podcast. You can find us on Twitter, which is End of the Fourth. That's 4th pod. Check us out on Instagram, which is End of the Fourth Pod. That's the word fourth. Check out the Let's Talk Sports Network. They're on Twitter at Let Talk Sport and on YouTube, the Let's Talk Sport YouTube channel. think that's everything over here. We'll be back again on Thursday with the week 5 preview. We need a Bengals fan or a Ravens fan. So if you fancy coming on previewing Sunday Night Football, that would be spectacular. Obviously making your picks and everything like that as well. But that's it. B-Hizzy signing off for another week. Chris?
Everything, yes.
Prez, yep, fantastic. Another good week. That's it from us. Ciao for now.